Hey guys, so today we're going to be doing my mid-year luxury beauty favorites. I am so excited to be doing this video. I saw a bunch of people doing their like best of 2022 so far. This is my take on it, and what I like to do in these videos is really focus on the products that were released in 2022 or released in the time frame that I'm talking about. Otherwise, it's just too much. There's just too many things, and I also feel like I've become very redundant. At the end of every year, I always do like an absolute favorite, and that is sort of time notwithstanding. There's no sort of like they had to have been released this year or anything like that. But for these like best of 2022 so far, I like to kind of stick to products that were released in this time frame. So anyway, I have a lot of products. I really kind of honed this list down, but this is as tight as I could make it, and I still have a ton of stuff to talk about. So let's jump right into foundations. The first one is the one that I'm wearing today, which I actually have not worn in a while because there's just so many good ones to go around. But it's the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Foundation. I have it in the shade 2 Neutral, and I love this foundation. I think you guys, if you've been watching me, if you've been watching this channel, when I tested out this foundation, I was like, what is going on? I have dry skin, very, very dry skin. I put a lot of skincare on before I do my makeup, and this went on beautifully. I've tried it with a number of different SPFs underneath. I've tried it with a number of different primers underneath. It is gorgeous. And this is a foundation that I think is marketed as a medium coverage. I find it to be a little bit more light medium. I also find it to be very customizable. Like today I put on just a little bit. I really didn't want too full of a coverage foundation. I just wasn't in the mood for that. So I just used a little bit, and it blends out beautifully. Obviously I have a lot of other makeup on top, but this is the base product that I have on, and I just love it. It has a lovely like skin-like finish. It is not extremely glowy. It's not dry looking at all. So I'm just a really, really big fan of this. But moving on, the one kind of similar to the Charlotte Tilbury, and this is one that I've been loving more recently, this is just a newer product, is the Pkwy, the Beautiful Tint. Now this I have in shade F4. Which I kind of grew into. I definitely have gotten a little bit more tan as the summer days have passed. And when I first put this on, I remember thinking it was just a little bit too warm. It may still be a little bit too warm, but it definitely looks okay on my skin now. Anyway, no matter. This foundation I find to be incredible. I love the finish of it. I feel like I'm going to be saying a lot of the same things that I said for the Charlotte Tilbury for this and for the others as well. But this is an organic beauty brand. So if that's important to you, this is a really good option. This does have an interesting smell to it. I don't know if it's actually a fragrance or if it's just simply the smell of the ingredients in here. I've gotten some comments that people just really cannot stand it. I don't think it smells that bad, nor do I feel like it smells very strong of it either. It's also a smell that's hard to describe, which makes me think that it is just the ingredients and not necessarily an added fragrance. But anyway, I love this product. I just feel like it sits on my skin really beautifully. I feel like it gives my skin that really kind of natural skin-like radiance. And I would have to say, I'm kind of comparing the two, I think the Charlotte Tilbury has a little bit more radiance than the Pkwy. This one has a little bit more of like a skin-like appearance, but both they just wear really, really well. I just love them. They just look really, really natural. This, I would say, has a little bit of a lighter coverage than the Beautiful Skin, like if you were to use the same amount of product, but again, this one is very sort of customizable, as is this. I feel like if I really want to sheer this out, I just don't put on that much of it, and it's great. It doesn't like look blotchy or patchy or anything like that. So that's the Pkwy, and you guys have seen me use this pretty nonstop since I got it over the past month and a half. And then some older ones that I was like, man, these are so good. I had to mention them. The No. 1 de Chanel. This was new from Chanel this past spring. This is gorgeous. This is absolutely beautiful. This does have a fragrance, however, and it is much stronger than the Pkwy or the Beautiful Skin. I have it in the shade B20, and this is just a nice liquid foundation. So the texture of this is a little bit thinner than these two. These two are definitely more like a lotion, and this is definitely more of like just a regular kind of like liquid foundation. It has a pump top, and you know, again, much like the other two, this has like a light medium coverage. It's very, very skin perfecting. It has a very natural finish. Just all the things. It wears really well. And the B20, if you're using me as shade reference, is a very, very good match for me. So this is another really, really excellent foundation. So the last foundation I wanted to mention, I know I have a lot, is the Sisley Cushion Foundation. So this is a reimagined cushion foundation for Sisley. They had one previously. I think it was the same name, right? The Fito Blanc. Anyway, they discontinued that. They came out with this, and I have it in the shade 0C Vanilla. The one thing I will say about this cushion foundation, which always stands out to me, is the longevity. This is a very long-lasting foundation. This lasted on my skin, kind of on a sweaty day, at least 12 hours. It is very, very long wearing. And considering how creamy this foundation is, it was quite surprising. You know, I always kind of equate long-wearing foundations to foundations that are a little bit on the drier side, a little bit on the matter side, but this has a beautiful radiance. It is a cushion foundation, so it has that creaminess to it, but it makes your skin look really, really creamy. It makes your skin look really soft and supple. It really does something quite magical to your skin, not just in kind of covering up imperfections, but really kind of making your skin look improved. It's really pretty incredible. And out of the 4 foundations I'm talking about, I would say this has the most coverage. Yeah, out of the 4. Really lovely. And again, the longevity is just incredible. So those are the 4 foundations I wanted to talk about. Moving on to concealer. You guys know I had to talk about the Dior Backstage Concealer. I have this on underneath my eyes today. And this is a product I feel like I've been using nonstop ever since I got it. I can't even remember when it was released. This is one of those products, you know, I have a few concealers in my arsenal here that I really love, the Dior Forever Skin Correct Concealer. But this is definitely one of those products that, like, I got it and I started using it and I started using it and using it and using it incessantly, and then starting to think, like, what did I use before this concealer? It's like a great pair of jeans. You get it and you start wearing them every day and you're like, what did I wear before I got these jeans? That's how I feel about this concealer. It is a really lovely, light creamy kind of texture. It's not quite as creamy as the Dior Forever Skin Correct Concealer. It's a little bit thinner than that, but it's not super thin. It's not like one of those serum concealers. There's definitely some creaminess to it. I have it in the shade 1N, and it's really great underneath my eyes. It doesn't crease, it doesn't sink into fine lines, it doesn't start to look dry or anything like that. It really just has such a great, great texture. And I have very dry skin, just all over. But yes, my under eyes are very, very dry. Even my eyelids are very dry. And I do use this sometimes on my eyelids, not necessarily as eye primer, but just to kind of even out my skin tone. It wears beautifully up there as well. This is not my favorite concealer to put on my face, like for sunspots or anything like that. I do like to use this concealer a little bit more for that. But for around the eyes, which is 90% of the time where I'm like focusing my concealer, I really love this. This has been one of my all-time favorites, and it happens to have been released this past year. So that's the Dior Backstage Concealer, again, shade 1N. Okay, powder. Now, I'm telling you, 2022 has been such a stellar makeup year so far. Like, so many of these products, I'm like, wow, this has been such a good makeup year. So the Say Air Set Loose Translucent Powder, this has been just like that Dior Backstage Concealer. This has been like my go-to powder, my go-to loose powder ever since I got it. It just sits on my vanity. I never even bother putting it away. I love it. I have this pretty much all over my face except around my eyes because I have another powder to talk about. But this is exceptional. It has just a hint of radiance. And I think the word radiance is actually an overstatement. It just has a very, very subtle demi satin kind of finish, which just leaves your skin looking really soft and not matte and not dry. And I love that because I have dry skin. I really don't like powders that make my skin look too dry. So this has been really gorgeous. As you guys know, I love, love, love the Koh Gen Do Natural Lighting Powder. This is like so similar to that. If you're a big fan of that powder, I think you'll really, really like this powder. So that's the Say Air Set powder. I really love it. And in terms of a pressed powder, Westman Atelier came out with their Vital Pressed Skincare Powder, and they came out with, I believe, 5 shades. One's translucent, which looks white, this one, and I have this just pressed underneath my eyes on top of my concealer here. This powder is so fine. It literally like just melts into your skin. This is an incredible, incredible powder that I feel like does a great job mattifying, but doesn't make my skin look dry. I feel like there's a really fine line between mattifying and drying, and this mattifies, but doesn't make my skin look dry. It just makes my skin look really, really smooth. And I have 3 shades. So the translucent one, which is the one that looks white in the pan, is what I like to use underneath my eyes. I also have Pink Bubble, which is great if you have fair skin. It has like a pink tint to it. I don't use this one as much as the other 2, but this is very brightening. However, in the summertime, my skin tone, when I get tan, my skin tone is a little bit warmer. So I'm gonna reserve this for the fall winter when I get a little bit more pale and my skin gets a little bit cooler in tone. The Pink Bubble I think will work a lot better. And then there are 3 sort of like very lightly tinted powders. I have the lightest one, which is Creme. And so this one I'll use kind of all over my face if I feel like using this powder all over my face, which is quite often. It is a pressed powder, so I find that it is easier to carry, easier to travel with, something that like on occasion I'll just like prefer to reach for, you know, pressed powder is just easier. And before I forget, these are refillable as well. So you can refill these compacts once you're done with the powder. So I'm in love with these Westman Atelier powders. They are just really, really impeccable. All right, next up is a product that I just recently came across, but I love it. I love it so much. So I had to mention it in this video. This is the Fluorosis Eastern Beasts Sculpting Palette, I believe. Yes, I think that's the full name. Anyway, I'll link it down below, but it's the Eastern Beasts. It's either like face palette or contouring palette, something like that. Anyway, we've got 2 highlights, a blush and a contour in here. This is a very shimmery metallic kind of highlight. This is just sort of a brightening kind of powder. All of these products are baked. And look at the beautiful embossing. Look at this beautiful package. It's just gorgeous. This product, the contour product, is really a beautiful, beautiful tone, and it's really perfect for my skin tone. It is like perfectly neutral. It's not too cool, it's not too warm. It is really perfect for just, you know, like a little bit of contour. The highlight powder, I love this metallic shimmery one. It is so bright and glossy and wet looking. This blush is a really beautiful bright peach color. It's really gorgeous. I don't have anything from this palette on, but I'm going to add a little bit of this contour right here, just so you guys can see the tone of it. It makes such a difference. Such a difference. So that is the Fluorosis Eastern Beasts Sculpting Face Palette. I had to talk about these Chanel Water Fresh blushes. I am in love with them. They just work so, so beautifully. I think they blend out beautifully, they apply beautifully, they are like more pigmented than you think. At least they're more pigmented than I thought they would be because they are in this like water base. I thought they would be super, super sheer, and they are sheer and they have a lightness to them, but they're pretty well pigmented. You really don't need a lot of this product. I don't have these on today. I have worn these and applied them for you in plenty of other videos. I decided to go with something else, a different blush that I haven't used in a while that is going to make an appearance in this video. But anyway, I just love these water blushes. And the finish of these blushes are so watery too. You know, you'd think like the water would evaporate and they would just kind of dry down and they would just, you know, you'd be left with pigment, but they just have this beautiful finish to them. They're, it's just like, there's just like this little bit of like a luminous sort of like sheen to them. Oh, just beautiful, really, really healthy looking. And I love the shades. My favorites are warm pink and light pink. I have the peach version. I have like the intense coral. Those are just like a warmer version of these, but I love the pink ones because they're just a little bit more neutral and I feel like I can wear them with everything. So those are the ones that I reach for a little bit more than the peach ones, but I love them all. And it's really like the interesting sort of formula and texture of these that's just so mind-blowing. So been loving those. And then the blush that I'm wearing today, this is a palette that I haven't used in a while, but this was a favorite of mine when this did come out. This is the Danessa Myricks Dewy Cheek and Lip Palette. And I just pulled out this one, which is Do It Undercover. There is a different version of this with like brighter shades, like a peach and like one that almost looks like it's fuchsia. I admittedly use this one 10 times more than that one. I just love these neutral shades. Today I have a mixture of these two. Don't mind my nail. I still have to go to the salon. But these two shades is basically what I have on my cheeks today. I just love these products. They have a little bit of tact to them, but it doesn't interfere in blending them out. I think it just sort of helps them stay put. And they just blend out beautifully. They're just so easy to use. And I love these tones. I use these three all the time. Each one individually, or I mix two or whatever. Admittedly, I don't use this one that often. It's a little bit too deep for my skin tone, but these three, so good. So I had to mention that palette, even though I haven't used it in a while. I'm so glad I whipped it out and used it today. And then the last of the cheek products I wanted to mention is, and this is kind of a combination. I do like these products separately, but I love using them together. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Multi Glow in Dream Light. So this is the deeper one. If you guys remember, she came out with two, and this is the deeper one. I think the lighter one is something like Romance Light or something like that. So I just kind of swirl all of the shades together, and I get that, which, as you can see, is a bit too deep of a highlight for my skin tone. But what I do is I use the By Terry CC Liquid Blush. This is like the blush pen version of the By Terry Brightening CC Serum that you guys know I love. I talk about incessantly. So what I like to do is apply some of the By Terry blush, and then I'll just add this right on top, kind of like where I highlight, but maybe I use it more as like a blush topper, if you will. And the combination of these two things, again, alone, they're gorgeous, but I love this like kind of combination of it, because this I'll use as sort of a bronzer blush, and then this I use as kind of a blush highlight. And so I just kind of cover my cheek with these two products. Oh, do you guys remember when I was doing that? Oh, I love it. In fact, I haven't done that in a while. I need to whip these back out, but gorgeous. And if this is just simply too deep or too warm for you, you can definitely maybe focus your brush on the lighter side over here or over here and really just kind of avoid this stripe, or do whatever. But I love the sheen of this Charlotte Tilbury highlighter as well. Yeah, and it's just such a great like pairing. It's just really gorgeous. So love those two products alone, together, however you want to use them. But those two products are really pretty. Okay, eyeshadow. Now, I hemmed and hawed about whether or not I wanted to talk about these next two products because they're both limited edition and I don't think you can get either of these anymore. So I'm going to make it very quick, and we're going to start with the Chanel Mediterranean Quad, okay? I don't know why this is just not a permanent part of their collection. It should be. It is gorgeous. I love the formula. I love the shades. I've talked about this quad so much, and I think most of you agreed with me that this was probably one of Chanel's very best eyeshadow quads. Now, again, limited edition. I don't think you can get it anymore, so I'm going to move on. The next one, same idea, absolutely gorgeous. I don't think you can get it anymore, but this is the Tom Ford Extreme Metallust palette. This is X1. Now, this, I think, was one of Tom Ford's very best eyeshadow quads. I mean, absolutely gorgeous. The mattes are silky smooth. The metallics are gorgeous. That's that up here. So this is the Chanel. This is the Tom Ford. I'm sorry. I had to mention them. You can't get them anymore. I'm crying on the inside, but let's just go ahead and move on. What you can get are the Tom Ford Eye Color Quad Cremes. Now, I pulled out all three, But I'm sitting here thinking to myself, there's really one that I use the most. And since we're doing a best of, let me just go ahead and show you the one that if I had to choose one out of the three to get, it would be the Rose Topaz. And this was my first love, and I thought maybe as the seasons change, I would kind of gravitate more towards the other ones. I still gravitate more towards this one. I think the shades are just really universal. I think they're really easy to wear, easy to use. I love, love, love the formula of these creme shadows. So there are the 4 shades in there. The creaminess of these shadows, it's very subtle. It's not like you dip your finger in here and you think, oh, it's a cream, you know, it's like really emollient or anything like that. They're just simply creamier than like a typical powder shadow. So I don't feel like you have to use a different technique when applying these shadows or like pull out a whole different set of brushes or anything like that. They're just a little creamier, a little softer than like a typical powder shadow. But I really, really love that slight creaminess. I think the shadows like lay down really evenly. I think they're really easy to blend, and I just really enjoy using them. I just think they're really, really easy to use. So that's the Tom Ford in Rose Topaz. The last eye palette I want to mention is one that I really wasn't even expecting. I had no idea that Wayne Goss was coming out with another one, but he just released Smoky Quartz. And this is, it's just really beautiful. It's become a staple. It is close to becoming one of those products that I just sort of leave on my vanity and don't put away. But the top 3 shades here, just perfect. Perfect for an everyday look, a simple look. They're mattes. They're a great starting point if you have an eyeshadow palette with a lot of shimmery shades or a lot of metallic shades or duochromes or a lot of fun shades, and you just need, you know, the building blocks to your eyeshadow look. These are perfect for that. We've got 2 more matte shades here, and then we have a topper shade. This is just a really beautiful and elegant. Oh, did I say that all of these were mattes? I'm sorry. This one is, it's like a demi satin. There's a little bit of like a sheen to it, but really not much. These 4 are all mattes. This was a topper, and then this one is that demi matte one. Anyway, I feel like this has Coco Mirage vibes. We all miss that Coco Mirage Tom Ford quad. So if you're missing that one, I think you'll really enjoy this one. And this is obviously beautiful on its own. I love the looks that I create from this palette. Since I did the video, I really have been focusing on these 3 a lot more than the 3 on the bottom. But I just love it. It's just simple and easy to use. And I think what I love a lot about the Wayne Goss eyeshadows is that they're not overly pigmented. I know there's always a lot of talk about like, oh, highly pigmented, there's so much pigment, these shadows are so bold. I don't find those shadows to be easy to use. I find them hard to blend out. I feel like I have to be really, really careful when I use it. I don't like being intimidated by my makeup when I'm applying it. And this is a not intimidating formula, just really, really easy to use. You can just go in, not worry about it too much, you know, and just start building your eyeshadow look. And these build beautifully, which is, I think, a more important characteristic for me in my eyeshadows versus like pigmentation. As long as they can build, I feel like I have control over them. That makes them more versatile. I just really love them. So the Smoky Quartz from Wayne Goss. And then in terms of eyeshadow, last but not least, the Sisley liquid shadows. These are incredible. I love them. I don't always get along with liquid shadows. I've talked about this before. I find them sometimes to be quite fussy. I find them sometimes to be very patchy, or they set down too quickly, or if you sit there trying to blend them in, like it lifts, you know, like you start to kind of like lift the product up, and then, you know, you're given all these tips to work with them. With these Sisley shadows, doesn't matter. You can go in with your finger and smear it out. It works. You can use a brush. You can take your time. These do eventually set down where they do, I want to say like 95% of it like stays put, but it doesn't happen like immediately. I would still, I don't know, it's kind of habit. I always like to work with like liquid and cream shadows, like one eye at a time. And so I would always advise that, but I don't feel like it is like a necessity when it comes to these shadows because they don't dry down super quick, and they just blend out beautifully, and they're, you know, even on the lids, and they're just really, really easy to use. So I think these were just incredible and such a standout product from 2022 so far. Okay, next up, the Hourglass Voyeur eyeliner. These are so good. They just nailed it. Nailed it with this eyeliner. And was there 6 shades? I don't know. I have 5. And the 2 that I use the most, Cave, which is just like a beautiful chocolatey brown, and this shade, which is Solstice, which is like a lighter kind of bronzy shade. These gel eyeliners, I just love, love, love the formula, how easily they glide onto my eyelid, my waterline, when I tightline, like anywhere I want to put it, whoop, I get this really beautiful, clean line. And they do set down, but you do have a chance to smudge them out beforehand if you want. Oh, and these are the ones that roll up and down. So these are kind of like typical gel liners. I have Cave on. These just don't budge. They don't smudge, they don't smear, just nothing. They stay put and they're comfortable. A lot of gel eyeliners, like from past years that I've used, they just feel like thick, like I can almost like feel the eyeliner on my waterline or, you know, when I tightline with them. And I really don't like that feeling. They make my eyes feel like a little bit dry at the end of the day. These are just so smooth and, you know, kind of thin for a gel eyeliner. They're not thick in any way. They're just really, really comfortable and they just go on so beautifully. Now, I have mentioned this when I've talked about these before, because they don't smudge or budge, they are a little bit stubborn to take off at the end of the day. So usually, you know, I remove all of my makeup, these will kind of linger and I'll have to go in with like a Q-tip, or I'll have to leave whatever eye makeup remover I have to leave it on my eye like a little bit longer. So that I would say is like the trade-off in terms of a completely smudge-proof kind of eyeliner, but I think it's worth it. So those are the Hourglass Voyeur liners. I love them so much. And then, you know, I've talked about this over my favorites a few times. Maybe the past 2 months I've talked about this the most. I don't feel like there's been a lot of like amazing lip product releases. So I only have 2 to talk about, which is, you know, plenty considering it's only been 6 months. But the first one is the Hermes lip oil. I can't remember the full name, but you guys know what I'm talking about. These are like the irresistible lip oils or whatever. They came out with a whole line of these and they added like a different fragrance to each one, and it's associated to the shade. This was probably the most exciting and fun lip try-on I ever did. It was like, it just got better and better. And my favorite one is number 5, Rose Cola, because they scented this with the cola nut, which smells like Coca-Cola. And I love the scent of Coca-Cola. And it's faint, you know, it's just a whiff that you get when you open up the tube, when you first apply it, but it's nothing you can taste and it's nothing that you can smell as you're wearing it. It does fade very, very quickly once you apply it, but it's just this really special treat. And like I said, when I was trying all of them on and like reading about all the different fragrances they put in each one, it was just such a lovely experience, And I was such a skeptic when it came to these lip oils. When these first came out, I was like, I'm not even interested in them. I thought they looked cheap. I didn't like this white cap that's grown on me, but I didn't like this white cap. And I was like, lip oils. Like this to me seemed like something that was just simply geared towards like the younger girl. And it was just a money grab for Hermes. You know, I had all these thoughts or whatever. But as soon as I started trying them on, and I do have the Rose Cola on today, I fell in love with the formula. I loved the shades. I loved all of those fragrances that I was just rambling about. It's just a really, really great product. So I do love this. And I do think this is one of the best of 2022 so far. And then the other one, I'm just realizing, did this come out in 2022? I think so. These are the Sisley Fito Rouge Shine. And my favorite shade is Sheer Nude, and I cannot find it. I know I brought it to Cabo with me. That was a couple months ago at this point. I know I've used it since then. I went through a few of my handbags, but I did not go through like every single one. So I think it's stuck in a handbag. I'm kind of wondering if maybe it fell out and it's in my, like the bottom of my car somewhere. I don't know. But anyway, I pulled out Sheer Petal number 20, which is one that I've been wearing quite a bit recently because it has just this really pretty, like light pink to it. And I guess I can... And you know what? I'll add some on top of this Hermes. And what I love about this particular shade, this sheer pink, is that I don't necessarily feel like I have like pink lipstick on, but I feel like It's like a My Lips But Better, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like, I just feel like my lips look brighter, which is, you know, really, really lovely, especially in the summertime. I think it's really nice to have like bright lips. So I have been loving this Sheer Petal is the name. I think I was calling it Sheer Pink. Sheer Petal, number 20. But really what is so amazing about this Sisley product, it's refillable, which is great, but the formula, it is so moisturizing. I think you can probably see how moisturizing and soft this product is, but it really feels like you're just putting on like a lip balm slash lip mask. It's actually very, very, very close to like the Chantecaille lip products where you just feel like you're doing something good for your lips. And I don't feel that very often when it comes to lip products. So I think this came out in 2022. I hope so. Anyway, I've been loving these Sisley lip products. And oh my gosh, I almost forgot the Dior Onset Brow Gel. You guys, I love this. I love this brow gel, and it kind of knocked the Tom Ford Fiber Brow Gel off of its first place position. I'm not sure. I still love the Tom Ford Fiber Brow Gel, but I really like this Dior Onset Brow Gel. I love it in dark brown. In fact, I don't think I put any on today, so let me put some on. This product does have fibers in it, and I just love how easy it is to use. I mean, it's very reminiscent of the Tom Ford Fiber Brow Gel. Very easy to use. I feel like it pumps up my brows. It fills in bald spots. This dark brown shade is a really, really good shade. It is a brown that you can see it's like a little bit on the cooler side. It almost looks like it has like a little bit of gray in it. It's really great. I can't believe I almost forgot to talk about this, but this has been a huge winner in 2022. And I feel like, yeah, I feel like in 2022, I all of a sudden have a lot of these new, like all-time favorites, not just favorites for the past 6 months, but like all-time favorites, especially the foundations. I feel like they really knocked it out of the park with foundations this past year. But that's what I've got for you guys today. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.